Floop, is this true? Max Blumenthal has just published an article in the Gray Zone saying he was questioned by feds at Dulles Airport after he got off a flight. The speech problem isn't just in Europe. Ask Scott Ritter. That must have been just today, right?
Honestly, I've been expecting things like that to start happening under this crew. So now, I
don't see the article anywhere. I was assuming that would be on their website. No,
I would imagine.
I see the trans thing on the website.
What? They're getting into what? The Bangladesh thing?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm assuming I would have heard about that. That's crazy.
Is this true or that's misinformation?
Is that misinformation?
Are you spreading dangerous
misinformation?
No.
So it's not. Okay, so he posted this as a long form tweet. I'm assuming this will come up as an article. Yeah, but no, Blumenthal just said, why was I questioned by the feds? Wow.
Okay, so now hang on. I seem to remember a lot of people screaming about the assault on speech and journalists under the Biden administration. Some of them journalists themselves who were harassed by the Biden administration. I hope they are all going to speak out for Max, because I promise you, that's not going to be the last time with this crew that you're going to have people who speak out, particularly regarding Palestine, who have this kind of a problem. I also hope all the people who were more MAGA-oriented, who spoke out about what the Biden administration was doing in Palestine. I know you guys are all going to be protesting about Dan Bongino getting this position, given that he's obviously such a rabid, foaming at the mouth Zionist fanatic. Given that you cared about this 3 months ago, I'll be very interested to see all the pro-Palestine people who were fighting against the Biden administration all speaking out against that appointment.
Yes, obviously, and this is what's so crazy about about a lot of people in this space who are softballing the guys like Kash Patel. Well, eventually they're going to come for us, and Max is in, and Max. I'm not saying Max did this, but Max is in this space, and they came for him. They could have come for you. Right. You've been at airports recently.
Right.
Dude,
I'm all.
If we had 400,000 subscribers like the Gray Zone does, they probably would have come for you.
It's definitely something I've been considering as being likely in my future.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not kidding. Look at what we do.
Right.
These guys do not believe in civil liberties. They do not believe in your right to protest. That is what is so shocking to me about so many people who not only should know better, but who specialize in issues of journalistic freedom and civil rights abuses, have been gassing up this administration and its moves as if they don't see the implications of what their actual agenda is. The enemy of your enemy is not always your friend.
Maybe that'll wake some people up.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
I don't see how you're going to have a figure like Max Blumenthal going through that and write another fucking bullshit article about how J.D. Vance gave a big speech in Europe and wow.
Right.
Yeah, we're back, baby.
Yeah, we're back. Right. Exactly. These are the feds. These are Kash Patel's feds
right.
At this point.
These are the feds.
He's the new sheriff in town. He's in. Yep. He's confirmed. He's sworn in. Yep. This is now his department. The buck now stops at him. And apparently, Donald Trump purged all the bad FBI people, right? They're gone.
Right.
They're gone.
Right.
Here, you know what? As long as we're talking about all this, do you want me to just read the tweet now? So we could just cover it now?
We'll
just make this the coverage. Why not?
Yep.
Do it live, everybody. Do it live. I'll cover it. Do it live. All right. So here we go. All right. So Max Blumenthal questioned by the feds. Why was I questioned by the feds? As I approached the customs line at Dulles International Airport early on the morning of February 24th, a man called out to me, Mr. Blumenthal. He identified himself as an officer with Customs and Border Protection and led me into a cavernous secondary screening room where he treated me to a strange and disconcerting questioning session. I had just returned from a leisurely trip to Nicaragua with my family, during which I participated in no political activities. But the agent's line of questioning suggested federal authorities had little interest in my visit to Nicaragua, a country that happens to be controlled by a socialist-oriented government on Washington's hit list. As my family and I followed the agent down a long hallway, he turned to me and said, I caught your latest appearance on Judge Napolitano. Sick. Hey, see, the guy said it wrong. He was Judge Napolito. Caught your latest appearance on Judge Napolito. He was referring to Andrew Napolitano, a former Fox News host and jurist who hosts a daily live stream featuring former and military intelligence officials. Sorry, I lost my place. As well as journalists like me who dissent from official national security narratives. Nearly all of my appearances on Napolitano's program, Judging Freedom, have focused on Israel's blood-soaked wars in Gaza, Lebanon, and beyond throughout the past 16 months. When I asked the agent how he liked my interview with the judge, he shrugged and declined to volunteer an opinion. Was he simply trying to warm me up for our own question and answer session, or darkly signaling to me that Big Brother was watching? This is just a friendly exchange, he insisted as we entered the cavernous secondary screening room. You're not a target or anything. Wow.
So why are you questioning him?
Yeah, so why are you questioning him? Why are you bringing it up? Yeah. Standing across from me at a metal desk, the agent asked me to fill out a questionnaire with my personal info and details of my trip. As soon as I completed the form, he flipped it over and displayed a handwritten list containing several names. Do you know any of these people? He asked. Two of those listed were Anglo names, Nicole Smith and Susan Benjamin. The other three were extremely common Muslims' names. Because the agent would not allow me to photograph the list, I was only able to commit one to memory, Muhammad Khan. I could not recall any people I knew with those names, and the only Nicole Smith I could think of was the late model who died under strange circumstances at age 39. That would be Anna Nicole Smith. Mm-hmm. I therefore told the agent the names were unfamiliar to me.
Mossad.
Yeah. Exactly. To be sure, I would not have assisted the officer even if I had personal connection with one of the names on the list. I've learned from activists and journalists who've experienced similar probing that federal agents often deploy inane or disingenuous questions to get their subject talking, then attempt to manipulate or entrap them so they can implicate them in a crime. In fact, the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled the police are allowed to lie to elicit confessions from suspects. If government agents want to subject American citizens like me to extended questioning, they must follow constitutional procedures and allow us to have a lawyer present. After spending several minutes inside a small office, the agent returned to inform us we were free to go. As we exited the screening room and headed toward the baggage claim area, an airport worker from West Africa pulled up to me on a ride-on floor scrubber, shook my hand, and asked for a selfie. Like the federal agent, he was apparently aware of my journalistic output, but viewed it in a much more favorable light. While waiting for our luggage, my wife, Anya Parampil, had a disturbing realization. She had been Googling the names on the list the officer presented to me and discovered that Susan Benjamin was the birth name of our friend Medea Benjamin, co-founder of Code Pink and one of the most widely recognized anti-war activists on the planet. Wow. Who was just forcibly removed from CPAC despite having credentials. She was persecuted by the Gaylord National Convention Center. The following day, I informed Medea about my encounter at Dulles and asked if she had experienced anything similar. She told me there was a period when she was harassed by federal authorities each time she traveled out of the country. The FBI once dispatched an officer to meet her at an airport upon her return from a foreign trip and called her on several occasions in an unsuccessful attempt to solicit a meeting. She said the harassment stopped after she filed a series of complaints, but my experience has led her to believe it will begin again. While I was allowed to return to my country after a fairly brief question and answer session with a polite federal officer, the interaction felt like an act of political harassment and seemed to signal an escalation against journalists and activists who've expressed anti-war, anti-Zionist views. I can only speculate on what the Fed's ultimate objective was. However, I know of several anti-war activists who have had FBI agents appear at their doors over the past several months asking questions about Iran and individuals with Muslim or Arab names. Just down the road from Dulles, the FBI raided the home of a Palestinian-American family whose daughter is a Palestine solidarity activist at George Mason University. Within the broader realm of Five Eyes, in European vassal states, without the same free speech protections Americans enjoy, journalists like Ali Abunimah, Asa Winstanley, and Richard Medhurst have been subjected to police raids, imprisonment, and even criminal prosecution for the opinions they've expressed on Israel-Palestine. My colleague at the Gray Zone, Kit Clarenberg, was detained by British counter-terror cops and grilled for hours about his journalism on London's machinations in Ukraine and beyond. Another one of our contributors, Jeremy Lafredo, spent several days in an Israeli prison and was ordered to self-deport after authorities falsely accused him of assisting an enemy during wartime for his journalism inside the country's occupied frontiers. In Canada, activist Yves Zengler was just released from 5 days in jail after a fanatical Zionist activist, Dahlia Kurtz, accused him of hate speech for branding her a fascist. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu travels freely from Berlin to Washington, D.C., despite an ICC warrant for his arrest for authorizing ghastly war crimes in the besieged Gaza Strip. My experience at Dulles International Airport paled in comparison to what a growing number of journalists and activists have endured in NATO states under Zionist management. Nonetheless, it's important to document encounters like these and to prepare for future interactions that might not be as friendly. Yes, indeed. I'll like and retweet that for the cameras here, everybody. And hey, look, Scott Ritter replies, FBI Director Cash, is this how you deal with a free press in America today? Good question, Scott. And, you know, Scott Ritter, I say this respectfully. We've met the man several times. We've interviewed him. He's one of these guys who I think has been a little too optimistic about this whole purge. Right? And it's a good sign that maybe this was a little wake-up call to him. Hey, just don't get swept up in the schadenfreude of these stooges and bad actors being shown the door. You must ask yourself, who comes next? And I'm glad he tagged Kash Patel in that tweet because, yes, you have to recognize this is now their government. It's now their government. It's now happening on their watch. The buck now stops with them. You know, no more sleepy Joe Biden in this context. This is now theirs. They now own this, and these are their feds doing this. And of course, this was going. I mean, like we said earlier, this is. I mean, it was shocking to me in the moment to hear it happen to Max because it just happened. But it's not surprising, really.
I've been expecting it. Anyone who's been paying any attention to what these people are actually saying has been expecting it. Look, one of the first things Trump did was to sign an executive order essentially criminalizing pro-Palestine speech on college campuses. What did you think these guys were going to do with control of the Justice Department and the FBI? This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. Anybody who connects themselves to this administration as if it's going to be some kind of a restoration of civil liberties is going to end up looking like a big fucking fool later on and a serious sellout.
Yes, I agree with that 100%.
Please clap.